Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Prince Ty, and while my bracket is very much busted after this weekend's Villanova Wild Catastrophe, literally ripped my beard out, not fun times, I've got 5 Survivor contenders who are very much alive in this week's Prince Ty's Survivor Game Changers Power Rankings. Before we get to my top 5, however, we do have some fringe players. It's worth bringing them up, at least in passing. We've got Queen Sandra. It breaks my heart to pull her off my list, but she's been out there for 9 days, which is, as it turns out, officially long enough for her to have become the villain. Everyone pointed it out. She wanted to kill the goat, and while I am sympathetic of always wanting to eat, it is set up now for her to go. Even if she's not the obvious boot next week that they're building her up to be, she still has come down to earth from her Tony high, unfortunately. We've also got Sierra Dawn Thomas, who is lingering in the bushes. She had some solid insights on the whole Ty versus Caleb relationship versus keeping the tribe strong by keeping Caleb and his potential challenge muscle. That being said, she seems very much an auxiliary output for Brad Culpepper's thoughts at this point, and until we see her gain her own voice outside of things that he's doing or saying, I have a hard time boosting her up to the next echelon. Last but not least, we have Troyzan, who has an obvious positive underdog edit going for him now, comparative to his underdog edit in One World, where he was just constantly beating his chest and kind of being obnoxious. This time he seems a little more humble. The problem is that all of his visibility could have potentially just been tied to him finding an idol this round. So will he get it in the future? We'll have to see, and to that end, I'm a little cautious. But in the meantime, we have 5 legitimate contenders, as far as I'm concerned, that we need to go over. And we start with my girl, my winner pick, number 5, Haley Ford. She gave me a potential heart attack, full disclosure. I love bacon a little bit too much to go through too many weeks of close calls like that. I don't know that my heart can take it. Please, Haley, get safer soon. That being said, the whole Cobra Snake commentary really played itself out this week. They were looking at her as a potential boot, but she stayed under the radar, while Ty, sweet, idiotic Ty, T-A-I, not T-Y, went and made his bond with Caleb so obvious that they couldn't help but get rid of him. And not only that, but she played everything up immensely. She had a wonderful tribal council performance where Caleb tried to throw shade at her, and she just threw it all back on him in shades. She really fought. I was impressed, and there's enough volatility on that tribe that even if they do lose next week, we're looking at 2 tribes going to tribal council, the odds are not in their favor that way. I feel like Ty is a person who puts his foot in his mouth, and Debbie, who I love, is a person who puts her foot in her mouth. I feel that Haley showed enough chops to possibly survive, to possibly be useful to someone else, and screw it, I'm going out on a limb, maybe a little bit of bias on my part, but she is still in my top 5. Although down at number 5, because she still could be in danger. Number 4, I have Zeke. He may be an obligatory green contender for this episode. It was a quiet episode compared to his first one, but they did make a point of showing him in comparison to, say, Sarah Lucina, who had a potential villain thing in episode 1 and then got no screen time for her new tribe last episode, at least virtually. And he's not Andrea, who got a little bit of screen time, but once again, bad screen time by pissing off Troyzan. All in all, he's in good with everyone. He's in good with Sari. They made a point of showing that. And that Sari and Ozzy feud is going to blow up at some point. He hasn't pissed off Troyzan, so the idol's not coming his way. All in all, he's in a solid position, although, of course, he's not super high up because we haven't seen that much yet. Number 3, I think Jeff Varner had a wonderful episode. First of all, he had a great confessional right after the tribe swap, talking about how he's ready for anything to happen, bring it on, so on and so forth. Very positive outlook about a game-changing season with a bunch of game changers. Does it indicate that he's capable of dealing with any changes that the game throws? I feel like that's what they're trying to build you up with. And he had a really great rest of the episode. A lot of confessionals. We saw his perspective on the JT thing. We saw his perspective on the GOAT thing. Overall, came across looking pretty well, all in all. He's right in the middle of the tribe dynamics. He also, I think, benefited from a smaller tribe in which There were less mouths to feed as far as challenge roles, so he was able to be in the puzzle part of the challenge rather than the physical part of the challenge. Excelled. They got first place. All in all, I really like what I saw from him, and I'm hoping, because I love Jeff Varner, that he continues that trend of ascendance, because his confessionals, quite frankly, are gold. And he's also in a great position because he's got 2 winners again. Just like he dealt with Tony and Sandra, he now has JT and Sandra. Jeff Varner's loving it, and by God, so am I. To that end, he's moved up from on the fringe to number 3 this week. Number 2 is my boy Malcolm. I think Malcolm's still in a really good spot, although he had a bit of a cool down, I'd argue, comparative to episode 1, probably because he didn't go to tribal council. And to that end, he was just more so narrational, which does give me a slight concern because it's rare that the narrators end up winning the season. And that being said, he had a very significant soundbite in establishing Sandra's villainousness. I don't think that's actually a word, but we're going with it. Pointing out that Sandra is all about Sandra is an indicator that he is once again thinking about the amount of usefulness that she serves for him. He's got a good bond with Varner. Caleb did mention that to us before getting voted out on the other tribe. Because of all of that, I still think he's in a really good spot to play the middle, to potentially make a bond with JT, who's a bigger threat than he is, or to potentially stay with Sandra, who is also a bigger threat than he is. All in all, the longer that these threats can stay around, the better Malcolm can do, and to that end, I still have him really high. But I can't put him at number 1 this week, because somebody has caught up to him with regards to front-running this season. I cannot believe I'm about to say it, but Brad Culpepper is my number 1 contender after this week's episode. You have the immediate music change, positive music tone going on with Brad Culpepper. He's an interior decorator, ladies and gentlemen, although I guess more so of an exterior decorator since they're living outside. But he's decorating. Everyone loves it. These women love him so much. And I guess that makes sense. You know, he's got the WWMD. He's charming them just like his wife would do. He had great awareness with regards to how Caleb suited Ty as opposed to suiting him. And he also had great awareness to realize that he shouldn't just command the tribe to boot Caleb, and had, quite frankly, an amazing scene, even if it's Ty, and even if Ty is easily manipulable. He still managed to turn this into Ty's move as opposed to his move. And that is fucking brilliant. Hands off to the guy. Hats off. I've been drinking because Villanova lost. I am just amazed that he has made this transition from obvious alpha male, kind of douchey in his first season, to completely and utterly running things in his second go-around here. All in all, I'm getting Cambodia Jeremy vibes as a person who is an obvious physical threat, but is doing well enough socially and strategically to really represent the full package. I love Brad Culpepper this season. I can't believe I'm saying that. Stephen Lehman's probably dancing for joy, because I guess this technically will make me a Monica fan now. Joy. In any case, that wraps up our top 5. We've got Brad at number 1, Malcolm number 2, Varner number 3, Zeke number 4, and my girl Haley fighting the good fight at number 5. Will they all survive this double boot episode? God only knows, but I can't wait to find out. Till next time, guys, have yourselves great days, and more importantly, good evenings.